Welcome everyone to your bubble of wellness through science, cultivating a new generation. What is consciousness? How can you apply a conscious action in your life? Do you live in the present moment, or you are constantly nostalgic for the past or eager for the future? What can you practically apply when you are more conscious in your life? Having the power to return to your present moment, living more aware of what you are doing, synchronizing the signals of your life with the events that you are living, are some of the lessons that you will learn through this episode 7 by the hand of Natasha Mott. Thank you and enjoy the episode.
We have completely suppressed all of this stuff into the unconscious mind. It does a full circle where it's recorded in our physical body. So all those traumas that we hold, it's understanding that we are multidimensional beings. And for me, when we are conscious, we are starting to allow these three states of consciousness to be brought forward, to be brought into awareness, and to be taking responsibility for our actions, to be becoming aware of where are things coming from? Why am I triggered? You know, looking at that intuition of kind of like, why don't I want to look into? So these are worlds that are all working together. We are complex beings and yet simple at the same time. I'm going to give you an example. For example, so when I arrived in Canada, I found it really, really hard to find work in this small area that I'm in because it's predominantly oil and gas based. And a lot of the oil and gas companies that back then, they didn't really have full-on marketing departments. What they did have was public relations departments, which was a very small aspect of what I used to do. I used to actually outsource the public relations bit, but I used to be more product marketing and communications. So I actually ended up having to intern, and then I ended up working at a company where they did end up hiring me at a management position, but there was a lot of toxicity within, and I know now that I do the Akashic Records, where I can look at my soul's blueprint, which is sometimes in the unconscious, is really looking at, I started absorbing a lot of my environment around me. And it was quite a toxic environment because I experienced my first workplace bullying. And I'd never, ever experienced that before. So I ended to internalize that, and it became quite traumatic. And my body started to feel the effects. Like I was super stressed all the time. I was anxious. I would get like, it was really easy to get angry. Like I was just like, one person would say something, I'm like, this is so unfair, you know, kind of a thing. I was in that space of not wanting to move forward. So much so that on a unconscious, subconscious level, when I arrived here, I thought, let me join a softball team because we need to do exercise for our body, helps our mind. I can meet new people. So I thought, I haven't played in over 30 years, but let's just join a team. So I joined the bottom of the league, mom and pops. You know, it's supposed to be the beer, you know, where people drink, not that I drink, but it was supposed to be that really relaxed, non-competitive, you know, league. And I ended up breaking my leg in 5 places, running from first base to second base. One, I realized I am competitive. It's a very close game. But 2, if you look at Louise Hay's work, I had broken my left leg, which legs are all about moving forward, and our left side of our body is all about nurturing and self-care. Okay. So I ended up breaking my leg in 5 places. I had to put a plate in my leg, and I had to screw it in to put my leg together. Okay. And I was like, it's okay. 6 weeks, I'm back to work. No, I wasn't moving anywhere. I was forced to actually slow down, look at what I wanted, realized that that wasn't that direction I wanted to continue going in. And being brought up in South Africa, I think we're pretty hardcore. So it's kind of like something would have to happen that would force me to look at that. The only bonus about breaking my leg at that time was it was right before World Cup soccer.
Uh, you could watch it, the whole cup.
I could watch it at home, but I was so out of it. I slept through most of the games, and Portugal and Brazil did not play well. So I'm glad I slept through most of those games. But if we look at it, it was my subconscious, my unconscious mind that was kind of like suffering these traumatic experiences, and my conscious was like, I just need to rush through this. I just need to work through this. I need to push through this, because that is what we're taught. We're taught to suck it up, move on with it, ignore the body, ignore the mind. We're taught to smash it. We're taught that, it's weak to, and I came from this philosophy. I was like, business does not have an emotion. It needs to, like, you just need to drive through it. That is not what I think right now. I've grown quite a lot since then, but our bodies are such indicators of what is going through. Like when we look at a lot of CEOs have like stress, anxiety, heart attacks, cancer, like all of these are caused because we're not connecting the unconscious, the subconscious, and the conscious, which is connected to the physical body. We're not looking at ourselves from a physical, mental, and emotional aspect, body, mind, and soul aspect. All of this is integral. It's like an egg. Like the egg, like until we break the egg and, dissolve it, like it is one. We're all connected. We're like Russian dolls, except we can't see some of the layers on the outside. But in order to,
Here, can I jump in a little bit?
yeah.
Just to mention something that happened also to me, and that is related to the workplace. And it is a story similar to you. I didn't break my leg, but I drained my energy completely. I was really, really kind of depressed. I didn't show it. I mean, there was no signs of showing the depression, but I arrived to my home, and the only energy that I have is to plug into Netflix or watching movies or distracting my mind from the stress. But I didn't have any energy to do something. And that's when I also realized that the environment that I was living in the workplace drained all that energy, and usually is the top people that have that kind of sometimes negative energy that is draining their teams and leading them either to quit, either to move from company to another company. So it is very important that you mentioned that. And also I love the example of the newspaper that you gave about picking the information that your subconscious mind is triggering, because that's also when you listen some of the songs that are giving you the messages, or you receive from someone a message, a text message or an email or whatever it is, in any form that it presents in the world. We have to pick up those signals, because those are the ones that are going to lead us to where you are now moving the story along. No?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And that is all about becoming conscious, listening to those signals that are coming from our body, listening to those signals that are coming outside of our body, listening, and sitting in that space of observation and curiosity is very, very important. Absolutely. And that's exactly where I was going with that. We're taught to ignore all of that.
Yeah, that's a sad part. And as you say it also, we are taught to separate the things. The body is separated from the mind from the body, and so on. No? Yeah. And never even mention the spirit, because you were taking your opinions or your mindset into
Mm-hmm.
something that sometimes is played as esoteric, no?
Absolutely.
And it is not, because we are energy. And as you mentioned, the pillars, that's the pillars that we also want to foster in this kind of podcast. Is the
Absolutely.
idea of the 5 pillars, is how you eat, the nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
is the way you move, your metabolism, and everything that is inside of you. The emotions, of course, the subconscious mind, the emotions, the
Mm-hmm.
consciousness that we are talking about, and finally the result, that is the abundance. No.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is so true, because even looking at abundance not only as a financial, but looking at it as being kind of like absolutely health, family around us, you know, where we are at is a massive aspect. But you're absolutely right. We're taught to, you know, abundance is what's in your bank account, and it does. And then the other things that we look at is the concept that you can't be spiritual and abundant at the same time, which is something that a lot of practitioners that are into more of the kind of like natural health are kind of like criticized for. But that's also, it's another old belief system, right, that we're working through as well as people. And you're right, we're not just one single, we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. And we need to take care on all levels, because a lot of spiritual people also ignore the body, and we cannot.
No.
We've chosen to have this physical experience, so let's enjoy this physical experience. It's a playground, really.
It is. It is like a puzzle that you will need to assemble, and all of the pieces you will find them as the more you are tuning, as you mentioned, the Wi-Fi, as you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, that synchronicity that we need to have. Well, our devices need to connect to certain kind of direction in the
Absolutely.
internet, which is also abstract, and we don't see it.
Absolutely.
It's the same analogy for us to connect our energies with the synchronicity of our higher self, no? And can you give us 3 lessons that you can share with the audience of how have you been able to succeed using your consciousness?
Absolutely. So in with regards to succeeding is
Yep, what it is for you to
for
succeed.
me, it's kind of like when I arrived in Canada. I'll give you another example. When I arrived in Canada, I was like, okay, we're in Canada now, and we need to learn. Like, the kids were really, really young. My youngest one was 2. My oldest one had just turned 6, was about to turn 6. And I was like, in Canada, lots of snow, you need to learn how to ski. So I was like, okay. So we signed the kids up for lessons. I signed myself up for lessons, because don't forget, I come from Africa. Water skiing is probably the closest that we'll get to doing any kind of skiing. I'd never seen so much snow until I got here. It's like, right, if I'm going to enjoy Canada, I'm going to embrace this. I'm going to learn how Canadians do this. So off I went, and I started skiing lessons. So at the same time as both my girls. So it was quite interesting. Um, and as I was kind of like, so I did the whole skiing lessons, and then we were up on the chairlift, and then I was coming down the mountain. And it wasn't even that scary. And I used to play a lot of sports. So I used to be very much kind of like, achieve this. And, you know, I wasn't scared of anything. Anyway, I'm coming down this mountain, and I'm starting to pick up speed, and I'm fine. Like, I'm picking up speed and I'm doing everything that I've learned. And then all of a sudden, this little bit of fear crept in. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going too fast. This is going to hurt, you know? And I sat down, and I actually bailed. Like, I was like, because I kind of like sat down, and I was like, that for me was a defining moment, because I said to myself, when did I become a poopy pants? Like, when did this fear come in of not achieving, like going too fast or not doing something to its fullest extent? And when did I become so cautious? Like, what is that all about? So after that, my first lesson was, now my philosophy is push your boundaries. I'm so getting used to being uncomfortable, you know, that it's kind of like, if it's something that makes me uncomfortable, but I know that it's good for me, I will do it. Like I've sat at the top of a slide with a friend of mine, Kelly, those slides, water slides that kind of like, and we were sitting there and the two of us were sitting there going, push your boundaries. No, you push your boundaries. Come on, we're going to go, we're going to do it. And then we're like, we went, right? And then because one went, the other one had to go. But
Yeah.
it's living in that space of getting out of your comfort zone, whether it's public speaking, for me was another one, like being in the center of attention and speaking, pushing your boundaries. It's helped me so much in my business now to push my boundaries. And that's one of the things, one of the philosophies I have is push your boundaries, get used to being uncomfortable. um, and stretch your beliefs, like question everything. That's another thing, I question everything, even in spirituality. Like not everybody channels 100% of the time. If the message does not resonate, question your teachers, question everybody. That's another lesson for me, because sometimes we're a little bit uncomfortable or unsure,
Yeah.
tend to rely on the information of other people.
Yeah.
We know, our body knows what's good for us. Our body, our mind, our soul knows. We need to trust that. So trusting in what I feel is right for me, and it might not be for everyone. That's another lesson. And then follow your joy. That's how you know whether you're on purpose, is if something brings you joy.
How do you start your days? Do you have a destination in your life? What do you do to keep your direction of what you want? Intention is the most powerful inner gift that we have to create a direction in our lives, and it blends with our intuition in order to open the path that you need to follow. Let's unpack the ingredients of intention with Marina Savić in episode 17. Enjoy the ride.
Because every human being, at least from my perspective and from who I am and how I'm walking through my life and through my days, absolutely with unconditional love to everything on this planet. First of all, for the planet, because planet is a Mother Earth giving me this space that I can live, that I can breathe. And for every life, for every human being, for every part of the nature and animals, absolutely. Um, and I agree with you that energy is finding the energies and how we found as well each other, because good things and good vibration always bringing a magnetic field, right? Resonance, always bringing the good. And every human being is absolutely powerful and have own strengths. Through my work, to be honest, I never try to fix any of my clients or any human being, because nobody doesn't need fixing. Every person is already perfect and enough. And some ways in our life, if we got, I don't want to say some damages, but let's say some limitations in our belief system and who we are, in our recognition, actually recognizing who we are inside out. It's not our fault, right?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, we all got those learnings from our cultures, from countries, from friends, from families, and now we are here really to support all and those ones who really need that.
I
Who
call
really
it the domestication process.
It is, and it is, and it's journey. And to be honest, Dave, I can tell you from my experience, it's a beautiful journey. The best journey I ever had in my life. It's really work on myself. It's really recognizing myself. It's recognizing all my emotions, let them out, cry, be okay with the crying, because we can see as well, a lot of people doesn't allow themselves, to show their emotions, because it's okay how we feel, but people are not heard. They're not heard enough. And this is why we are here, right? To support really those ones, to show them, to empower them that actually are amazing human beings and they can perceive themselves from the different perspectives and a different level of life.
Yeah, totally agree. And it is that process that we all pass through, as you said, depending on our cultural baggage, that we also start ingraining in ourselves those beliefs that suddenly they just shape our lives, but we don't realize that because they are in the deep subconscious mind, and we need to bring them home by watching our lives, by reflecting, by seeing everything around us and the way we are moving in our lives. So it is just accepting that, no, as you mentioned, and it is
Yes,
accepting everything that we are, as you say, every state that we are, because by accepting it is the only way that it can start flowing. No, if we reject an emotion, if we deny an emotion, it just goes in the build-up system, and it will create something inside. No, it will create damage, it will create grudge, it will create resentment, anger, etc. No, we will go into those layers, but the idea is to start accepting where you are, and from there is the starting point where we are going to be. No, and
exactly.
that's important also because we all need a philosophy of life. So, what is your philosophy in life?
Mine is very simple, Dave.
Yeah.
My philosophy is really simple. For me, philosophy is living in unconditional love and coming on that state of your physical body, your energetic body, and your mind and soul. For me, the best thing and the easiest thing that we can live is living with unconditional love. True for yourself, first of all, because this is the big learnings. First of all, understanding that for yourself, how you can expand that around yourself to the Mother Earth, to every human being around you, and to know to stop to judge others.
Yeah.
Because when you're living in unconditional love, when you understand that frequency and energy and emotion, what is actually that, then any another things will happening externally. We
Like
know
this.
that how to, yeah, we know how to react better when we understand unconditional love, which, when we're talking about religion, believe, what we believe in, what we believe, for me can be God, right? For another person will be just a universe, right? Energy of the universe, can be just creator of everything, can be Buddha, can be whatever. No matter really at all. It's a one source, it's a one creation, and it's unconditional love. And once we are disconnected from that, to understand that frequency and energy, we are really truly disconnecting from ourselves. And for me, my philosophy is living every day. And this is not something that it's a fairy tale that I'm talking here about, some fairy tale. I go through my experiences daily. I go through my huge emotional life challenges. I can talk about that as well. It's not just for me is easy. It's my choice. It's something what I am naturally and what I understand that is our nature.
Yeah.
And when I don't have here shape to show to you how is looking when the substance of the human body, not like on a molecular level, okay? When we are nature, when we are compact, and then when we are disconnecting from emotions, when we like you says, we are not accepting them, we don't acknowledging them, we are in the greed, we are in the anger, we are not in a state of love, not for other people first, this is for
Yeah.
ourselves. When we are in the stage of the anger, frustrations, it's not about external things somebody may, it's we allowing without knowledge or having less knowledge of what is mean self-love and what is mean living in the love. um, and for me this is philosophy. I just choose to live every day with love, and I don't know if I got that gift as well since childhood, really from the God, um, that I always love to help other people. I'm talking with my plants. um, I love animals. I just I don't even eat animals. I was vegetarian 16 years, but now I'm vegan. And no matter, I just um, found myself and my soul to resonate with the life on that level. And it's just looking in a life really from space of love, and it's energetics, it's energy. Yeah, we can
Totally.
speak about that, but that this is really simple, my philosophy, and the easiest.
Well, yes, it is going back to the source, because I also agree that love is the source of everything. And we can have different beliefs, different religions, as you mentioned, but everything turns down into that powerful force that usually we don't acknowledge, and we often take for granted. No, and it is not the concept of love that they can market. No, they can sell, or they can see things and make them believe that is love. That is not the concept of love. The concept of love is accepting everything that you are, and it's going back to you were to how you were in your childhood. No, as you mentioned, you were like that when you were a child. We always go back to our childhood because we bring back that connection when we are in childhood state. When we are children, we are completely connected. We don't have everything that is distracting us or is making noise in our heads. No.
And children are already in a theta brain waves state, they're always, if you're just watching the child when they're playing, they're there, right?
Yes.
You cannot distract them. They're deeply your father. You're deeply into that, and you just like all animals, as well. When I'm watching my two cats, when they just looking in something, they just looking, if they're relaxing, they're completely relaxing. We as a humans, we really got out from what is our true nature, and we are not far from the tree or from the animal.
Yeah.
We
Exactly.
are not. We are not. But we want more, everything. And we have more than enough. And I don't know what more we want. Because if we, Dave, looking on situation that we all go through, right? And we are going, this is not, I was talking with my client before a few days when I asked, okay, what is most your fear? Okay, Marina, I fear my future. You fear your future? And you were not ready even for this future, what happened? I mean, for this present moment, before 10 years, what you doing those 10 years? For your mental and physical level, right? We chasing without stopping because we want more external things, right?
Yeah.
Without going back within and to actually listen yourself. Do you really need that? Do you really need that much? And then after 10 years happened COVID, right? When nobody was ready, like a lot of people wasn't ready mentally and physically. You can see, Dave, so many people stop completely to thrive and to participate in the world and alive because things are happened.
Yeah.
And this is not the last thing that will happen, right? But then when I'm saying to as well to my clients, why we doing all of this? Because we want to be ready mentally and physically when
Yes.
we go back to our natural state. When next time something happened, that we can stand still on our feet and say, take a deep breath and say, okay, let me see how I can participate now in this situation, how I can help, how still I can serve on this planet.
Yeah.
And
Totally. I totally think that because this state, this pause, like I want to call it, was to reflect, was so that we can really ground ourselves and see how was our life, not how was the world, because the world will be keep moving and keep changing and keep doing things. And this is just a reflection of how greedy the people is, because this is just a messed up situation that somebody provoke because they want more money, because they want more introduction of pharmaceutical drugs and things. And people just want to get vaccinated and move on with life, just like taking a
Yeah,
pill. No,
you
just
know,
let's take like taking a pill and move on with life. No.
I want to say something regarding that because I mean, this is my day, such a huge subject. We can talk for the next 20 days, even
Yes.
more, yeah,
Yes.
forever. But what I want to say like this, my dear people, we can have the best supplements, okay? You can take the best supplements, all right? You can take the best food, okay, to try to take the best food and to give the best to your body. And then we can talk about vaccines as well. And it's okay. All of that is amazing. All right. But one thing is for sure, you cannot cheat your body.
Yeah.
You cannot cheat your frequency and your vibration, because as long as you don't changing your behavior, your thoughts and feelings and emotions and your approach to life, your cells, they know, and then nothing gonna protect you, nothing gonna improve your health because you're taking amazing supplements or amazing food, because internally your head, your thoughts and emotions and your feelings, you are not acknowledging them, you holding them, you're not trying to find help, which is fine and it's okay. But the dangerous thing is when we don't ask for help, when we don't say how we feel, when we don't talk to our partners if we don't feel well, when we say yes to a lot of things that actually damaging us deeply to the root, and then doesn't exist supplements, doesn't exist food or nothing what will protect us. And I remember as well one of my clients, she just
Are you being pulled into the fake matrix? Do you feel that you no longer have the power of the decisions of your life? We all have experienced being pulled by the noise, by the standards, by the norms or rules, and educated into a way of being that completely disconnects you from your true self and takes your attention away. Nevertheless, there is a solution to reclaim your life. Discover it with Vanessa Diaz in episode 21.
Then you have other traps in this fake matrix that keeps people, more and more. I don't want to call them dumb, but
Immerse, no?
the factors don't allow them to connect the dots and really, make their brain work in a holistic manner. So, and I think about COVID, the more news we get and the contradictions we get, I would say that people should be already awake, but there are still many people who still believe, in what comes through the television. But I think we will getting there.
Yeah.
I think it's not random that we're facing this problem right now. It's just, I think it's one of the biggest ones that it will start already started waking up many people. And perhaps it's the trigger that we need to start to realize that we're living in a fake matrix, maybe.
Yes, it is indeed. And as you mentioned, the brain waves and that all of that energy that we have when we are receiving the information, and there is a lot of science and there is a lot of connection, of course, with physics of how the particles, the waves, the consciousness that we can create nowadays with these technologies, either the TV sets or nowadays the social platforms, the social media platforms, they just can create quickly a news that can spread billions of people in in a matter of hours or in a matter of minutes. So that is the power of the information that nowadays the let's call them the elite, the elite people or the ambitious people that they want just to play with us, no, to
Yeah.
puppeteer us and to make us believe whatever they want, because of course they have to sustain the economical situations and all of the things that you mentioned. And as part of as the information that you were mentioning, I also got curious about how these brain waves start affecting the prefrontal cortex, and that is the one that is going to make us have more capacity or ability to discern the information that we really is attuned to us, or the information that is just, let's call it trash information, no, that is just going to pollute your mind and
Yeah.
drive you into the thinking of rumination, fear, and and then of course anxiety and depression. That those are the consequences that nowadays we are seeing rising through the roof, that many people have, of course, and it's just obvious if they provoke that, if they are consuming that information, you are going to create the anxious cycles and the depression cycles. So that is just a game. So nowadays we have to develop new rules for how we want to play. We are
Absolutely.
also able to choose new rules to play and to have more freedom, let's call it like that. Although we are going to have a struggle in that, but still we
Responsible freedom,
get
maybe.
responsible freedom, and still there is something that no one can take you, I think, away from you, and that is your perception. So the perception of the things, you give up your perception whenever you want to just believe what any other people is telling you, but you can just be strong and be true to yourself about your perception and question things, just like children, just like when children
Yeah.
ask questions about the world and they just tell you, why is this plane in the sky, how can it fly, or why is it good, the rain for nature. All of those questions that we have when we are children, all of those questions are the ones that we have to keep as adults, because those are the questions that are going to save us from developing the right side of the brain and question things, or just adopting what they are telling you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that many people don't realize that children, they have a specific energetic imprint, right? They vibrate really, really high, and they engage in positive emotions. So to make it simple, I think it's all around. We're electrical beings, right? And we have positive emotions that generate a specific kind of energy, and then we have negative emotions. Both of them are part of our human nature, right? We have light and dark. We can't get rid of negativity because it's part, right? But if we just think about the positive and negative, children are much keen on vibrating higher because they have this thirst for knowledge. They have this curiosity that comes with us, and they like to learn. So, but people are not really asking why children stop asking why questions, right? Why many? So I think the majority of them, they maybe not so much today. They are more rebel, maybe than they were in my time. But why at some point we stop asking why, right? And I think this is where, around 5 and 6, it's where the whole programming that comes from school, because when we go to school, we're much open to other spheres of society. So the programming that we receive increases. And so children just do sometimes what they are told, but also what they see. So, and what they see is that it's a bunch of adults, a few people, sometimes gather the courage to ask questions, to be curious. Why is this happening like this, right? Why is this person telling this argument? What is the veracity of this, and what is the other side? So if adults don't model critical thinking skills, then children's will also lose this in the process. And then you either have a very strong personality, which is more associated with being open and curious and all those sort of things, or you just get trapped in the fake matrix. But and then if you get trapped into the fake matrix, you start to vibrate in fear, right? In the lower emotional states. And energy attracts energy, like attracts like, right? So the more fear you embrace, the more you attract that sort of energy. And so it's a loop. So you can either go downwards or upwards, right? But I don't think that this is a concept that people are aware. So even in their own daily lives, they're not aware of the positive and negative emotions. They don't understand the impact of emotions on their behavior and on their decisions. And I don't think that they're really connected to this sense of being conscious, of self-reflecting, of being the observer of their own experience.
Yes.
So, and I think this is the base, right? But you live in an environment right now that you're bombarded in every direction, and this fake matrix is made to induce you in stress. And what happens to our brainwaves when we're stressed?
Yes.
Exactly. So I usually have the metaphor of an ice cream. You start with 3 scoops.
Melting. Yes.
So exactly. So your ice cream starts to melt, and when it's all on the floor, you're acting from your reptilian brain, and the reptilian brain is where you act, based on your animal instincts. You're rude, you're aggressive, so your prefrontal cortex, which is
Drop
responsible
down.
for empathy, is completely down.
Yeah.
So it's really hard in this environment, in this fake matrix, because it seems all designed to make you stress. Even if you go outside, you are exposed to chemicals that make your immune system go down, and you increase your oxidative stress, which is the micro, I see it as the micro picture of the stress that we know, which is the behavioral, right? When it starts to manifest in people's behavior. But it's all linked. So it starts in your cells, right? And you accumulate and you stress. And when you stress, you can't really be still. You can't really have an understanding, and you can have control over your perception. And I think that's what's going on. So people are lost in this fake matrix, and they don't have even the idea that they can control or that they can evaluate their perception. So they just go with whatever they are told. They don't question. So I think to start correcting this, we need to start teaching people that, you have to slow down.
Yeah.
You have to go closer to your nature, to the human nature, which is more attuned to nature itself, right? So with the Schumann reson, our brain waves work best attuned with the Schumann reson, for instance. But in the city, you're completely out of touch with that harmonic, with that wave cycle. So we have to learn that we're electrical beings, and as anything that is electrical, it has positive and negative charges. And but to have this perspective, again, you have to understand a little bit of everything. And I think when you're super specialized in just one topic, you just understand the behavioral, and you don't understand the biology of stress. So people don't have a full picture to understand themselves, basically. And so without this, they can really have control or correct their perception and even see what's in front of their eyes sometimes.
Yeah, I completely relate to that, and I just can imagine when I was also in that fake matrix, I didn't have energy. I didn't
Yeah.
have energy, as you mentioned, to think. I didn't have energy to discern the things, and I was just completely drained from that fake matrix. And is that cycle of neglection that you are receiving, of obeying the orders, obeying the protocols, obeying the standardized SOPs, as they mention in the industry, the procedures that you have to follow, and not even have an idea of challenging any of those things because you are a rebel or you are a person that doesn't deserve to be listened to. And then you start falling more and more deeper into that matrix of not wanting to express yourself. So you are just shut down. As children also, they just shut down because many adults to tell them start or stop questioning or stop asking questions because I don't know the answers. And they get desperate with children because they ask and they don't really have the answer of many things, and they become lazy already. So the brain starts, as you mentioned, melting down into a really low frequency where you really don't want to look for information and don't want to learn more things because you don't have that passion for life, because you were completely taken away to the to that square box where you can just see buildings and concrete and emissions of toxic electricity and
Yeah.
charges, negative charges. So, as you mentioned, if people are not willing to understand more what is happening in their bodies and how they can be connected, even in the cities, you can find places where you can connect with nature. There are parks, there are ways of connecting with some kind of nature, and just get connected with that side